You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your healthcare? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, our family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year. It is great to be with you. That was a little hinky there, Rick. It kind of cut out on me. Luckily Seymour holding up the glass gave me the cue. But before we get rolling, everybody, welcome back. It's been a couple weeks. Took some time off, little winter vacay, and just decompressed and enjoyed the news media twisting in the wind over the holidays. Before we get rolling into tonight's show, just want to remind you to stay tuned, because coming up after me is FUBAR with Polita Bunny and Orty Packard. That's right, your favorite chainsaw-wielding bunny rabbit and butter-churning Amish guy will be bringing you a great hour coming up next. And then after them, the man, the myth, the legend, Rowdy Rick, with America Off the Rails as your nightcap. You've hit the trifecta of conservative talk right here on KLRN Radio. Do yourself a favor and stay the night with us. So anyway, like I said, little winter vacay, and just real quick, because he works hard and I only pay him and stake him. I want to bring Seymour over here real quick. Seymour, for those of you who are new, Seymour holds up the panes of glass that we shatter every week. That's pretty much his job, and to keep my drink filled and things of that nature. He is my idiot intern, and I'm grateful to have him. And Seymour, real quick before we get rolling, do you have any resolutions for the new year? Or is there anything you're looking forward to or anything like that at all? Well, I just want to say one thing. Well, what's that, buddy? I just want you to please quit spitting on the microphone. Okay. Lighten up. It's the first day back. Jeez. All right. Well, he's stormed off already, so let him go. And that was Seymour. He's a lovely character. Again, he gets paid in steakum and compliments, so that's all he gets. Anyway, so we've had a fun couple weeks. Like I said, just been watching the media twist in the wind. The first thing I wanted to bring to your attention tonight was something that the media is not going to bring to your attention tonight, or any other night for that matter. And that is that the Governor's Commission investigating the Florida high school massacre at Marion Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland. Yeah, you remember that. That's what spawned David Hogg and a couple of those other activist idiot kids that think they can solve the world's problems because they know better than anybody. Well, the commission has turned its report over to the Florida governor's office, and they had some really, really shocking findings. They came down very, very heavy on Broward County Sheriff's Department, and in particular, Sheriff Scott Israel. Just utter failure in performing their duties. This is a 15-member commission, and they unanimously approved this 446-page report containing proposals and as well as other proposals and recommendations for improving the security at schools across the state of Florida. And the big thing that you're not going to hear about this in the media is because one of the things they actually recommended were that volunteer teachers be allowed to undergo training and carry firearms in the school. That's right. This panel that consists of parents, business leaders, security experts, anything else you can think of, they piled it into this 15-member panel. And this was something that was unanimously approved. It's now in the hands of, I guess, I'm not sure what the inauguration day is in Florida, so I guess technically it would be Governor Rick Scott still and Governor-elect Ron DeSantis. I'm not sure if DeSantis has actually been sworn in yet. If he has, then it's Governor DeSantis and no Rick Scott involved, and the legislature. So the report details what is believed to have happened before, during, and after the February 14th shooting that left 17 dead and 17 wounded. Now, the legislature would have to approve the proposal to allow teachers to carry guns. This is something that is actually opposed by the teachers union and the PTA. Like I said, the report is highly critical of Broward Sheriff Scott Israel, who has also been going ahead and telling his deputies that he expects that he's going to be suspended over this report because Florida law does allow for a governor to issue a suspension to a sheriff like that for any kind of, you don't want to call it really malpractice. I don't know that would be the proper word, but some kind of dereliction of duty, maybe. It just basically the commission came down and said that the Broward Sheriff's active shooter policy contributed to the severity of the massacre. And that's huge, considering, again, unanimously supported by the 15-member committee. So that's something you're not going to hear. There is if you do a search on Google for MSD Commission's report on Parkland shooting, you can read the entire report if you're really inclined to go through all 446 pages. But I can tell you that they were talking about having metal detectors. They were talking about having perimeter fencing around schools to keep people out that shouldn't be in, which we're going to get into some perimeter fencing type issues a little later tonight too. But it's going to be a recurring theme of sorts. And I'm sure you know where that's going. But anyway, they recommended fences to keep people out. They recommended keeping doors locked with video monitoring systems to make sure you knew who was being allowed in, as well as, like I said, the volunteer teachers being armed and being able to be in the school and protect the kids. Again, volunteer teachers who wish to be trained. There is no mandatory. So that is what we got from the Marion Stoneman Douglas, commission investigating the school shooting there. And those are their findings, not mine. Of course, that lines up pretty good with what I was thinking that should happen. And who knew? Who knew, right? I mean, just those of us with common sense and maybe some firearms training, you know, we'd be in the know. We understand that kind of thing. So anyway, what else do we have? Well, one of the other things that was going on over the holidays is all the hubbub over Trump saying that we're pulling out of Syria. But National Security Advisor and friend of the program, John Bolton, said on Sunday that the U.S. military withdrawal from northeastern Syria is conditioned on defeating the remnants of the Islamic State and on Turkey assuring the safety of Kurdish fighters allied with the U.S. in the region. Bolton, who also traveled to Israel to reassure our ally there of the Trump-ordered withdrawal, said there is no timetable for the pullout of American forces in northeastern Syria, but insisted it's not an unlimited commitment also. There are objectives that we want to accomplish that condition the withdrawal, Bolton told reporters in Jerusalem. The timetable flows from the policy decisions that we need to implement. So there will be a pullout, but apparently it won't be an immediate turn around and walk away kind of thing, which I agree. We need to finish the job and do what we need to do and then get out, but we need to do it quickly. Those conditions, he said, include the defeat of the remnants of Islamic State in Syria and protections for the Kurdish militias who have fought alongside U.S. troops against the extremists. Bolton's comments mark the first public confirmation that the drawdown has been slowed as Trump faced widespread criticism from allies and the resignation of Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis for a policy that was to have been conducted within weeks. Trump announced in mid-December that the U.S. will withdraw all of its 2,000 forces from Syria. Trump's move had raised fears over clearing the way for a Turkish assault on Kurdish fighters in Syria, again, who fought alongside our troops. Turkey considers the Syrian Kurdish People's Protection Units, or YPGs, a terrorist group linked to an insurgency within its own borders. So Bolton, who is on travel, well, he has traveled, this is old now, said the U.S. is insisting that the Kurdish allies in the fight against the Islamic State group are protected from any planned Turkish offensive. He is to deliver a warning to Turkish President Erdogan, or Erdogan, however he wants to pronounce it. And, you know, that's already happened. So we don't, again, the Turks shouldn't be taking military action against people that fought alongside of us, Bolton said. He said in meetings with Turkish counterparts that he will seek to find out what their objectives and capabilities are, and that remains uncertain. Trump has stated that he would not allow Turkey to kill the Kurds, Bolton said. That's what the president said, the ones that fought with us. Yeah, the ones that fought with us. Bolton said the U.S. has asked Kurdish allies to stand fast now and refrain from seeking protection from Russian or Syrian President or from Russia or Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government. I think they know who their friends are, he added, speaking of the Kurds. So we got Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, is going to continue the negotiations with Turkish counterparts to seek protection for America's Kurdish allies in Syria. Additionally, Ambassador Jim Jeffrey, who has been serving since August as the Special Representative for Syrian Engagement, was named last week as the American Special Envoy for the Anti-Islamic State Coalition. And he'll be going to Syria and in an effort to reassure the U.S. Kurdish allies that they are not being abandoned. Bolton said troops would remain at the critical area of Al-Tanf in southern Syria to counter growing Iranian activity in that region. He defended the legal basis for the deployment, saying it's justified by the president's constitutional authority, adding, "I am a strong believer in Article 2. The U.S. is also seeking a satisfactory disposition for roughly 800 Islamic State prisoners held by the U.S.-backed Syrian opposition. Bolton said that adding talks were ongoing with European and regional partners about this issue. Bolton, he was supposed to have dinner with Netanyahu Sunday. I'm sure they did, and discuss the pace of the U.S. drawdown, American troop levels in the region, and U.S. commitment to push back on Iranian regional expansionism. Bolton was expected to explain that some U.S. troops based in Syria to fight Islamic State would shift to Iraq with the same mission, and that the Al-Tanf base would remain. Excuse me. Bolton was also to convey the message that the United States is very supportive of Israeli strikes against Iranian targets in Syria, according to a senior administration official who, man, I hate these guys. If you're going to run your mouth, put your name with it, okay? If you're not supposed to say it, keep your mouth shut. So this was according to a senior administration official who was not authorized to publicly discuss Bolton's plans. Whatever. Blow it out your butt. So Bolton on Sunday also toured the ancient tunnels beneath the Western Wall in Jerusalem's Old City. He watched a virtual reality tour of the historic site and dined there with his Israeli equivalent, as well as U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman and Israel's Ambassador to the U.S. Ron Dermer. Visiting American officials typically avoid holding official meetings in parts of East Jerusalem, which is contested between Israelis and Palestinians. Trump himself, however, has toured the area in a previous visit. Israel annexed East Jerusalem after capturing it from Jordan in the 1967 war, a move not recognized by most of the international community. Why we don't know, because they certainly recognize when the international community takes from Israel. But anyway. So that's Syria in a nutshell as far as what's going on over there. Syria, Turkey, Russia, Iran. It's a big convoluted mess in the Middle East, and I would like to see us get out of it, but I would also like to see that mission accomplished, especially being for those of us that were part of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We know that job didn't get finished right the first time, and that's what led to the U.S. going back. At least partially. There were bad actors and other things happened, but we could have nipped a lot in the bud the first time around. We just weren't allowed to. Anyway, so bringing it back close to home, we now have the 116th Congress in session. And if there's one thing I can tell you about the 116th Congress, is that it is guaranteed to be at least one number shittier than the 115th Congress. So anyway, we have a new Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, because cowards that said they were not going to vote for her did. It was expected, but, it would have been nice to see them at least put up a fight. They didn't even do that. And that was probably largely because Nancy had her behind closed doors meeting and told them if they defy her that they will get nothing for their districts. And I don't doubt that for a minute, and neither should you. But just to show you exactly what kind of garbage we can expect from the 116th Congress, which is now a Democratic majority in the House and Republican majority in the Senate. House Resolution 1 has already been submitted, and it would, get this, okay? House Resolution 1 will create automatic voter registration across the country, ensure that individuals who have completed felony sentences have their full voting rights restored, expand early voting and simplify absentee voting, and modernize, quote unquote, modernize the U.S. voting system. Okay, this is a bill put forth by Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi. She's really special. She thinks we're all dumb and don't know what this means. A subsection of the bill is called Democracy Restoration. The summary for that subsection says, quote, declares the right of citizens to vote in federal elections will not be denied because of a criminal conviction unless a citizen is serving a felony sentence in a correctional facility. It continues to state that it requires states and federal government to notify individuals convicted of state or federal felony, respectively, of their re-enfranchisement. Under the law as it stands now, states determine whether or not a convicted felon is allowed to vote. So once again, you're seeing the move here, okay? This is away from states' rights. This is seizing a power not enumerated to the federal government in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or any other founding documents that the federal government is trying to seize. I fully expect, if this should somehow pass the Senate, that it would be challenged in court. But hey, you have states like Maine and Vermont where felons never lose their right to vote, even while incarcerated, which is ridiculous. Hey, if you commit voter fraud in Maine and Vermont, you can still vote. Come on. Even while you're in jail. So, in 14 states and the District of Columbia, felons lose their voting rights only while incarcerated and receive automatic restoration upon release. In 22 states, felons lose their voting rights during incarceration and for a period of time after, typically while on parole or probation. Again, makes sense. In 12 states, felons lose their voting rights indefinitely for some crimes or require a governor's pardon in order for voting rights to be restored, or face an additional waiting period after completion of sentence, including parole and probation, before voting rights can be restored. Now, make no mistake, this is definitely a vote-grabbing move by Democrats. They understand who the prison population in this country is, by and large, and they understand how they vote, by and large, and they understand how criminals vote, by and large. And it's not shocking in the least that they're trying to do this, and I expect that what will happen is that Mitch McConnell will just desk this bill when it comes to him, because it will pass the House. And hopefully it'll just dry up and blow away. Who knows though? But also part of HR 1. Okay. Now, according to Nancy says this is putting power back in the hands of the people. See, so the federal government mandating something is her equivalent of putting power back in the hands of the people. Just let that sink in, because that's how the left thinks. Them controlling it is giving you power. So, also included in HR 1, well, I'll tell you what, let's take a break here. We're at the bottom of the hour. We'll take a commercial break. When we call back, we'll continue with the second part of HR 1, because it's just as bad as the first part. So do yourself a favor and stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a few.
Silver.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Whether we realize it or not, everyone has been impacted by addiction. We all have family members, we all have friends that have faced this demon. But there's hope. There's hope in recovery. There's hope when we work together to rise above the plight of addiction. I'd like you to join Mac Mullings every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. on Rise Above Radio on KOKC 1520 AM, where they talk about the hope that is available to all of us.
All right, welcome back. Just a quick programming reminder. Top of the hour brings you FUBAR with Polita Bunny and Orty Packard. And then after that, you get America Off the Rails with Rowdy Rick Robinson for your nightcap. So anyway, when we left off, we were talking about H.R. 1, Nancy Pelosi's first bill, her prerogative as Speaker of the House. And what a terrible, terrible thing the first half of it was. So the second half of H.R. 1, it would require the president and vice president candidates, and presidential and vice presidential candidates to release their tax returns, 10 years worth of tax returns. The bill, however, would not require any members of Congress to release their tax returns as candidates or Congress people. So a summary of the bill and Where is it? That includes a section titled Presidential Tax Transparency. Yes, transparency. This section says the summary requires sitting presidents, because she wants the current president included, and vice presidents, as well as candidates for the presidency and vice presidency, to release their tax returns. In 2017, when members of Congress were calling on President Trump to release his tax returns, roll call asked all 535 members of the House and Senate to release theirs. As roll call reported at the time, 6 out of the 535 were willing to release their tax returns and did so. Now, another 6 had already released theirs somewhere else. Another 45 members had previously and partially released tax returns. But 473 members had not released their tax returns and refused to respond to a request to do so. Nancy Pelosi was one of those 473 members. So you can see how her hypocrisy runs so deep. And it kills me that this is their agenda, okay? This is their whole agenda is huge liberal outreach programs, restore felons' voting rights, and going after Trump's tax returns and crapping all over the security of American citizens by leaving our southern border so porous. Yeah, and you'll hear that, oh, we support border security, but not a wall. Why not? Why not? We'll get to that in a few minutes. But anyway, I just thought it was the hypocrisy of it all. 473 members refused to release their tax returns. Wonder why that is. I wonder why. She says it's not a right to privacy that the president has. He's the president of the United States. There is a question about a Russian connection politically, personally, financially to the president. Well, I'll tell you, I have a question, Nancy, Speaker Pelosi, Madam Speaker, if you will. I have a question. You make $174,000 a year as a member of Congress. You get an extra $20,000 a year, roughly, give or take a few dollars, for being Speaker, for which you were for a few years before and are now. How is it you live in a $4.5 million home?
Am I pissing you off, Fafa?
Yeah, it just. I'll tell you how. And here's what I want to see. I want to see how many votes you threw at government contracts that were guided to your husband's company. That's what I'd like to see. Let's talk about some financial and political wrongdoing here, okay? You want to get into it? Let's get into it. Because you can't afford to live in that house you're in on your salary. So how are you directing work to your husband via Congress that allows his company to be worth billions of dollars? And if I were the president, I would throw it right in her face. So anyway, look, you heard me allude to the wall last night. Okay, we're going to press on. Enough about the tax crap, because that's what it is. It's crap. You heard me allude to the wall. We teased about it earlier with the fence. We all know President Trump spoke last night on the need for funding for the wall. The American Gothic couple, Nantucket, as they've been dubbed on Twitter, they had their little split response that was equal in time to as long as Trump spoke. But look, President Trump hit the nail on the head last night. a wall is not about hating who's on the outside. It's about loving who's on the inside. I fully agree. I have no problem with this. Being the grandson of immigrants, second generation American on my mother's side of the family. And look, it just it just makes sense. How many times have we seen stories of American citizens being hit by a drunk illegal driver? Whether they're killed or not, it doesn't matter. This is somebody that shouldn't even be driving in our country. Now, yes, I know most of our illegals are visa overstays. I get that. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to shut down illegals crossing at the southern border. Okay, I saw a breakdown on the drug trafficking earlier. My boy JD broke it down for me, and I don't have it right in front of me, but it's still 32, and I think it was $32.5 billion a year, he said, is what it factored out to coming across the southern border. You know what really ticked me off last night, though, is not Schumer and Pelosi with their reply, because I expected exactly what we got from them, more of the same bull. And, basically, a wall is immoral and a wall is ineffective. How do you know a wall is ineffective? How do you know it's ineffective? We don't have a real wall. How do you know it's ineffective? It works for the Vatican. It works for Israel. It works for China. It works for Nancy Pelosi's house. Why wouldn't it work for us? So what really pissed me off last night was on MSNBC, Rachel Maddow's show, after the president spoke. He had freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on. And if we can just go ahead and hit clip 1 and listen to what she had to say.
It's freezing on me. Hang on. All right, here we go.
And not only that, but the women and children on that border that are trying to seek refuge and seek opportunity in the United States of America with nothing but the shirt on their backs are acting more American than any person who seeks to keep them out ever will be.
I get that, okay? Anybody trying to cross into our country illegally is more American than anybody that opposes them doing so. This is what was elected from the Bronx. This is what New York sent to Congress. If you oppose illegal immigration, you're less American than illegal aliens trying to get here. Oh, but she wasn't done. Go ahead and hit clip 2, Rick.
Even before he was elected president of the United States, he has a proven track record of discrimination against anybody who's really non-white.
But he was awarded by the NAACP, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, for his outreach in the minority communities. The man has a stellar record. You're talking about a company that used his name and got sued. And because of that, she's trying to inflict guilt on him. But then she turns around and says that he misconstrues facts and numbers. Oh, no, not done yet. Hit clip 3, Rick.
People know I was working in restaurants just a year ago. And when the president first assumed office with his racist and violent rhetoric, people started to send themselves home. And as we know, in restaurants, hospitality, every American eats, if you can, if you're lucky enough, we're able to eat 3 times a day. And that means that we interact with the people who prepare our food 3 times a day. When those people start to go home, or rather go back to the countries which they originated from, because many of them consider the United States their home, those places, they go into dysfunction. I remember one of our lead cooks brought himself back to Mexico because he was so scared of the president's rhetoric. We had an insane amount of dysfunction. We're talking about local restaurants. We're talking about local businesses. We're talking about shuttering neighborhoods. And we're talking about people feeling unsafe. And no one should feel unsafe in the United States.
Okay, so let's just stop right there with her last comment. No one should feel unsafe in the United States. Well, guess what? When we're allowing illegals to just flow over the border, potentially every person in the United States is in an unsafe situation. You don't know whether there's another drunk illegal driving down the road that's about to hit you. You don't know if a drunk illegal or a sober illegal is about to break into your house to try to rob it and kill you in the process. You don't know if you're going to get mugged in a parking lot by an illegal alien. Every illegal in this country is a potential crime. Does that mean they are a criminal? No. But we need to vet them before they are allowed to come in. They need to follow the process.
Actually, hang on. I want one point of clarification. I don't normally do this. But if they're here illegally, yes, they are already a criminal.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. But they're quick to point out that it's not a violent crime. It's more of like a civil disobedience. You know, get the hell out of here with that shit. A crime is a crime is a crime. So anyway, I think there was one more, Rick.
And moreover, the one thing that the president has not talked about is the fact that he has systematically engaged in the violation of international human rights on human rights on our border. He has separated children.
Okay. So, yeah, the president, by following laws that were established by the previous administration, that would be Barack Obama's administration, by following those laws, our president, according to Congresswoman Cortez, is committing human rights violations. So who would be to blame for that if indeed they are human rights violations? She went on to refer to the child that died in ICE custody. We know now that the first child that died in ICE custody was diagnosed with sepsis, was her cause of death. This is something that the parent or guardian or trafficker or whoever was with the child could have had treated along the way and chose not to. The fact that she shows up at the border and goes into ICE custody hours before dying, she was at a point where her body had completely shut down. We want to talk about, there was another child that died. I haven't heard the cause of death on that child yet, but you cannot pin this on ICE. You cannot pin this on Customs Border Patrol. You cannot pin this on the president.
Which other one? Because I may know the answer.
I just know there were two children that died.
Yeah, one of them died of dehydration. The other one had the flu.
No, the one that they said was dehydration actually turned out to be sepsis.
Well, yeah, but it was dehydration. They hadn't had water in 8 days, so by the time they got them to the ER, they had turned septic and they were dying.
Correct, and that's way too long to go without water. There was not a recovery process available, sadly. But it just pisses me off that this twit sits in her chair, and anybody that challenges her is just a hater. Don't hate. And look, make no mistake, she's very careful about most of the words that she chooses. Okay, she's not quite as dumb as a lot of people make her out to be. She's going to get propped up. She's going to get coaching. She is going to become very dangerous, and I think it's going to happen in a very short matter of time. And she needs to be taken seriously before she has this groundswell of under 30 voters riding her coattails to the polls in 2020. Now, that just, it kills me that they're going this avenue. She, like I said, she's very careful. She makes mistakes. She's still young. She has no real world experience. She worked for a couple years in restaurants and bars, and she thinks she has all the answers to all the problems. What I really wish is that she would get voted out of office this next time around, and that she actually becomes a bar or restaurant owner. That's what I really wish for her. Because then what I'd like to do is to see her be very successful with her bar and or restaurant, and then ask her how she feels about a 70% tax rate. How she then feels about New York City. Now de Blasio announced today they're going to do universal health care inside the city of New York. They're for 600,000 people, mostly homeless and illegals. They want to provide universal health care. And I think that the math breakout, if I heard it right, comes out to like $166 a person per year. I don't know what you think you're buying in healthcare for $166, but you might be able to get your STD checked for that, but that's about it. Anyway,
you might be able to get an STD from the doctor for that much, but you're not getting an STD checked. That's enough for a turn your head cough and a quick grab.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Congratulations, you have glaucoma. Anyway, what else we got here? Oh, hey, quick follow-up story before we wrap it up tonight. Remember those sonic attacks in Cuba that were making all the U.S. workers sick? Well, they've finally got done analyzing all the audio tapes of these mysterious, high-pitched, penetrating noises that was believed to possibly be an acoustic weapon. And now we know that the sound comes from a Neurogryllus celerinictis. In layman's terms, that would be the Indies short-tailed cricket. That's right, it was the crickets that were making our people sick with nausea, headaches, and other ailments these mysterious noises were causing. The recording has been definitively identified as a cricket by Fernando Montelaguer Zapata, a professor of sensory biology at the University of Lincoln, who participated in a study. This study. The call of this Caribbean species is about 7 kilohertz and is delivered at an unusually high rate, which can give humans the sensations of a continuous sharp trill or a barely audible tone that is quite irritating and has been known to cause nausea, headaches, and vision problems. Who the hell knew? A frickin' cricket! So I hope that in this particular instance, since we were so all fired ready to start throwing rocks at Russia, that somebody at least called them and said, hey, you know what, our bad, sorry. But anyway, that's about the long and short of it, folks. We're rounding back around to the top of the hour. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you need new ones. But they and you will be welcome here with me every week on KLRN Radio for the Conservative Curmudgeon Show. I am your host, The Grouch. Peace and God bless.
And you caught me flat-footed. Somehow I didn't load your outro. I grabbed everything else. This is what happens when you give. This is what happens when you give me like 15.
And I even cut it early for you, like you asked me to.
Yeah. I don't want to hear it, man.
Just hit the tune.
I'm working on it. It's not loading now. That's the other problem. Is I've been trying to get some stuff fixed, and Spreaker's being dumb. So,
well, if they have to go out with us, they have to go out with us.
Okay, that's weird. It's actually showing it's loaded, but I can't find it. Hang on.
Okay.
Why is it not in there? Oh wait, yeah, it was in there. Huh? I just had it buried with all the audio clips. So let's try this again. Bye, guys.
I hate this place. Nothing works here. The medications don't work. I've been here for 7 years.